If you told me a season ago that Coutinho was going to make a comeback, that he was going to gain an undisputed first 11 position at Barcelona, and on top of that add 5 more kilograms of pure muscle to his game, I would have pinched myself because that had to be a dream. The recovery that the now 28-year-old has made since arriving from Liverpool for 145 million euros in 2018, it has been outstanding. I would have never imagined for him to turn it around, especially because of the public acknowledgement of backlash by the fans, and most importantly, the humongous price tag that was certainly going to add pressure onto him. A loan stint at Bayern, in my eyes, was sure to destroy his career, but actually now that might have been the catalyst to set the resurgence of Coutinho back in motion. No matter what the case is, it is clear as day that with Ronald Koeman as manager, Phill is now on the path of redemption. In this video, I will explain you more specifically that transformation, and also I will hint towards why I believe the next iteration of Barcelona might just be Coutinho's team. Join us as we take a look at how Philippe Coutinho went from a flop to an MVP for Barcelona. What's going on, guys? ¿Cómo están? BugaLuis here. Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and for what it's worth, I would like to begin by taking a look at the reasons that led Coutinho's Barcelona career to the verge of catastrophe. For Phill to have joined Barcelona in a period of neglection was probably the worst thing that could have happened. Ernesto Valverde, to the dislike of many, employed the 4-4-2 formation, certainly different to what many cules have seen in the past, and yet for Valverde it was the most concrete option as to getting something out of this aging squad. The reality is that one of the reasons why Barcelona hasn't been able to achieve the previously beautiful football of old, it has been because of the inefficiency of the players at hand. In a starting 11 that included Suarez and Messi, 2 players that were now incapable of pressing and being the first line of defense, adding an extra name to that list like Coutinho might have been, it would just be a complete disaster, taking away a vacancy from a midfielder that could give a more defensive approach and solidity to the team. This wouldn't have come at the cost of less players being in the midfield, with this I mean less numbers, but it would have come by the sense of work delegation. Each individual will have to deal with a lot more, and the players that had that in Busquets, Rakitic and Vidal at the time, they were not necessarily of the age to be able to cope with that many tasks. Coutinho therefore was shifted to the left wing position, and that was the answer by Valverde. The coach couldn't have been blamed necessarily for wanting an evenly balanced side, but he can be blamed though for not having enough balls in him to let other players flourish in their original positions. This is why Coutinho then, in my opinion, at this stage was not as mobile or as committed to defensive actions, not only because of his overall style of play at the age that he was, but simply because he was not instructed to do so, because Valverde gave those roles to other players, not giving a chance to Coutinho to see if he could demonstrate in that position. Once Coutinho left Barcelona and signed for Bayern Munich on a 1-year loan, I was sure that his path would have followed one of many players like James Rodriguez a year before now, in which the player just enters a point of no return. Not a team with space for him, and there's no system built around him, basically just another number 10 dying away. Before his arrival as a late Leroy Sané alternative alongside a fellow loanee in Ivan Perisic, there was plenty of doubt about the former Liverpool man exact position in Niko Kovac's plans. The Croatian had shown himself to be a cautious manager. In key games of last season, he was opting for rather defensive setups that marginalized, well, the Colombian that I just mentioned in James, the closest player to that Bayern has had in recent time in my eyes as an attacking fulcrum between the wings like Coutinho is. However, a few months after, Coutinho actually managed to have a very quick turnaround to his situation at Bayern Munich, because Bayern were not as creative as before, a bad run of form for Thomas Müller and a very big doubt by the manager as to whether he could manage the space between the lines. Coutinho just became undroppable and became the main number 9 for the Bavarians, because he added a sort of stability and stickiness to their final third game that had been in short supply since Thiago Alcantara was moved to a deeper role in the team's midfield. After 4 months of success, Coutinho fell down the pecking order again as Kovac was sacked and Hansi-Dieter Flick took over. I don't think I need to explain by any means the battle-hardening style of football that he managed to instate at Bayern Munich. We've all seen it in the Champions League. In terms of body type, skill set, and philosophy, Coutinho was not suited to that, and he was going to have a lot of trouble being able to enter into the fold again. Here is where personally I want to praise Bayern Munich as an entity, because they managed to work behind the scenes in Coutinho's integration, helping it be as smooth as possible not only to the next generation of team that they were building, but to the city in a way. The most immediate example was that the club, instead of putting Coutinho's family up to their preferred accommodation for new signings, which is the quiet, if soulless, Arabella Park complex in the outskirts of Munich, the Coutinhos were given digs right in the center of the city, where they managed to enjoy experiences in their new environments on foot. Something that, for instance, at Barcelona, new players coming from outside cultures tend to do a lot. Ter Stegen lives right in the middle of the city, and so did Lucas Digne did at the time. But yet, within the areas of focus inside the pitch, Bayern trained and basically mutated all of their players, as you may have already known. You've seen the pictures. Kathleen Kruger, it is the name of a woman who is far from the flashes, far away from the spotlight, but one that handles the individual strings of the transformation of the player that we are more particularly focusing in today. Via individual meetings, diet plans, and routines, with Kruger, Coutinho is as we see him today. He has become faster, stronger, and has more stamina, hence why he's able to cover simply more space. Coutinho is like he has been sent to a military camp and has come back fitter than ever, kind of like the first act of Captain America. Likewise, there is something that is less concrete to measure, but in my eyes it's even more vital, and that is the ideology and the German visionary approach that Coutinho has gained from his experience, well, in Bavaria. The Brazilian has returned not only in better shape physically, but with a stronger mentality. Remember when Coutinho scored against Manchester United and basically went against the fans, celebrating putting his 2 fingers in his ears? This version of Coutinho would never do that. He has matured to a level that he's able to be comfortable with challenges. As opposed to Coutinho's previous 1.5 seasons for Barcelona, the former Liverpool man has been able to perform constantly, producing a man-of-the-match performance on a far more frequent basis. His work rate is higher, his self-esteem has elevated, and he seems to be fit for Koeman's intricate 4-2-3-1 system like a glove. In earlier campaigns, Coutinho wasn't open as to enduring numerous roles, as his tendencies were to wander around and operate in a very specific manner which yield him very low results. However, looking at the current version of Phill, it is safe to assume that his positional adaptation has just grown and he's much more fluid as a player, being able to operate with similar players like Lionel Messi and Antoine Griezmann, something that I would have never anticipated before. And yet, Ronald Koeman deserves endless praise because he has managed to put Coutinho, realize his skill set and what he has improved on, and let him play in his natural position. He hasn't been doing that with Antoine Griezmann, and that may be a topic for another video, but for what he has done to Philippe Coutinho, Koeman, as easy as it may seem, still deserves a very huge round of applause. Taking everything into account, the 28-year-old has deservedly been awarded the man of the match for Barcelona in the last 2 outings, in Villarreal and against Celta de Vigo, racking up an assist and 2 goals in the process of just 4 matches. He has managed to take off therefore also a significant considerable amount of burden that Leo Messi had. And this is why I start to believe that perhaps Koeman's plan was to build the team around him all along. Whilst Messi can also play the number 10 position behind the striker, the sheer dedication and work rates that now Coutinho brings to the table makes it a much more tastier option for a manager from a tactical perspective. Don't get me wrong, there is certainly a long time ahead until we can determine whether Philippe Coutinho comes close to validating the sum of money spent for him in the first place. But what it is certain though for now is that with the numerous improvements that he has been able to make to his game and style of play, Coutinho has returned to Barcelona and is back on the right path to success in Blaugrana colors. Coutinho could become a pivotal player for following seasons and is certainly a one to watch.